All right, we are live. I'm so happy to be back hosting a Duda webinar again. It's been almost a year since last time, and I'm happy to be back. Today, we're also going to talk about something really exciting and somewhat new to me, but not super new, but at least like this is not what I've been working on for the last 10 years or so. It's more like, yes, this is something I tipped my toes in the last maybe year. And I'm so happy to hear Justin here, who's going to present to us how to build a website in a day and his process of doing that. And I've seen the slides and they are dense, and this is going to be a very, very cool talk. So I'm super happy to be hosting it. I also want to give people a bit of time to log in and connect so that we can wait for them, that they don't miss anything of this super sweet cake of a presentation. So let's just like get to know each other a bit and chit chat. Justin, where are you from? Where do you hang out?
Oh gosh, well, I live in Mexico now. I'm from the U.S., California, and my wife and I kind of did a trial run moving down here in 2020, kind of in the middle of COVID, and we really liked it down here, and we've settled in a really nice little spot near Lake
Cool.
Yeah, I can see the lake out my window right now.
Oh wow, that's really cool. And you brought two friends with you, Justin and Jeremiah. So Justin, or just Josh, I mean, sorry.
Hey, Jace.
Where are you from?
So I'm actually pretty similar to Justin. So I'm down in Mexico now. I've been here for a couple of years. Came down out of California, did a little test run. Wife and I fell in love with it and said, hey, let's go. Packed up the family and came down and haven't looked back.
That's awesome. So before we ask Jeremiah, please, everyone, put in the chat where you're from as well so that we don't feel lonely here. Let us see that you are there. It actually makes the whole difference for us as well. So make this a session together. Jeremiah, where are you from?
So I'm from Southern Oregon, born and raised here in a little Shakespearean town, and we tried to move out, and the vortex sucked us back in. So we're happy to be here with family.
All right. So myself, I'm from Stockholm, Sweden, and I don't know, you guys haven't seen or talked to me before or followed me, but I have one follower here that has been on my every webinar. Hans, for real, I missed you. So, all right. What are your hopes for today? What is there? Do you want to have specific questions or really, really hard ones, or do you?
Hard questions are fine. I mean, if I can answer them, great. But what I'm hoping to do is, at the very least, get people to think about their process and Duda in a totally different way, and hopefully make it a lot more profitable and fun and efficient for people. Because that's what we've experienced in going through this process, and have found that even though it takes some work, the payoff is really, really big. So I hope just light bulbs go off for as many people as we can help.
You hear that, audience? You guys ask questions, but also listen and learn, and be spoon-fed about this knowledge, because I'm for sure gonna bring up my popcorn and just watch it or listen, and I'm going to enjoy it very much. So we are 4 minutes in. I think that we can kick off. I would like to, the topic for today is a website in a day. And I would like everyone to introduce themselves, because I'm usually doing this, but I also slaughter all the names and all the names of the companies that you work for. So I think it's better if you just describe it yourselves.
Cool. So Josh, why don't you start?
Excellent. So I'm the founder of Forget Me Never Media. I returned to the agency game about 1.5 years ago now, but I've been in the marketing business for the last 15 years. To date myself a little bit, I started in phone books. So for those of you that remember what those are. That's kind of where my marketing started, evolved into Google Ads, and now I'm doing my own thing with web design, local SEO, Google Ads management, and Justin's concepts really made me crazy more efficient. So I'm really excited about this.
Cool. Jeremiah.
Yeah, so I'm Jeremiah Sverin, founder of Leading Local, and kind of pivoted a couple years ago to focus more on the local blue collar businesses, whereas before it was kind of all over the map, different businesses and websites. And I've been using Justin's system since about the beginning of the year, and it's definitely it kind of like broke my brain initially, and it's definitely has sped things up and made things much easier to grow, and feels like I have more of a system than before. And so I'm excited for you guys to see. And I would definitely take lots of notes because it will be action packed.
Cool. And I'm Justin, and God, I mean, I got into the agency world in 1995 in Silicon Valley, and learned a lot from how those folks operate. Their scalability and efficiency and all that. Even back then, that was what people were talking about. And about 2006 or so, I got into local marketing. I really kind of wanted to get away from the corporate stuff and just found that just working directly with business owners and helping local businesses, local service businesses in general was just really my thing. So over time, this has been you guys are getting to see kind of what's built up over 15, 20 years of kind of refining processes. And Duda's been, I think we've been with it 5 or 8 years or something, and just what it enables you to be able to do has just been really fantastic for us.
All right,
my
thank you.
business is Standout Results. Our main business is Standout Results that we work with clients on, and we're kind of testing the waters on helping out other agencies and stuff with the freeagencyacademy.com.
That sounds really cool. Thank you very much. So I'm your host today, and I'm Ulrika Wiberg. I'm the CEO and founder of the agency Unicorn that I founded almost 10 years ago. But lately, I've also been away a bit from the community because I changed my path a bit. I'm also a business developer and a change manager. So yeah, okay, let's kick this off. We are today going to learn about Justin's process or concept for that can show that agencies can ship SEO optimized sites in hours using Duda's AI in a standardized build system. And I, for one, am really happy to be here and listen to this. So Justin, kick it off.
Cool. Okay, so website in a day. Let's get going. Oh, maybe I'm not selected on this. There you go. So, my goal here is to hopefully revolutionize how you do really all your agency work, or a good part of it, especially with Duda in the middle, but really creating content and having kind of maybe a different mindset in how you onboard, and then leverage that information kind of across your client's online presence. And this for us was built just so you get a quick sort of perspective. And we kind of go for like the $2,000 to $3,000 a month type of engagement with our clients, where we're really giving them kind of personal service and helping them and stuff. So for us, it's not a volume play, although it certainly could be. For us, it's about really having more time for strategy and engaging with the client and doing kind of custom stuff. So the more that we can sort of systematize the base level of the agency operations, the more we can add value and really, keep our clients for a long time and get better results. All right. Okay. So website in a day. So it's a totally flexible concept, right? So I know some of you want to offer a website in a day, and this can totally help you do that. But for me, the way we use it is like as a secret weapon behind the scenes, giving us that ability to deliver a website really quickly, or then be able to customize it. It just, because it's so efficient, it gives us a lot more flexibility than we certainly used to have when we worked with WordPress or even other approaches in the past through Duda and other things. So it gives you this methodology, gives you the power to choose how you want to deploy it, if it's behind the scenes, if it's kind of upfront, If it's a VIP day type of thing, you have a lot of flexibility in how you want to do it, in your business. For us, it's really having this high level of execution, right? So we're trying to deliver high value on design, SEO optimization and integration, conversion optimization, all the stuff that we've seen working for years. And, up to now, we're trying to build all that stuff in to a framework that can work for just about any local business or service business that we work with. It can be leveraged for other types of businesses as well. And we're trying to really build that content, that optimized content into the website in a really, in a quick way, right? As well as, and this is where some people kind of takes a minute to get their head around it, leaving us open to be able to customize the design, make it totally, right for the brand that we're working with, and then be able to actually do unique things on pages. It's not just a locked down system. So it's very helpful in that way. The system you'll see today, like I said, is optimized for local services, but this methodology can be leveraged into any type of niche or type of delivery system, whatever you're doing with your clients. It's great for niche. I mean, it's going to streamline the heck out of things if you do it for a niche business. But if you're also a generalist, that's what we are, and we're totally able to, flexibly use it for anybody that we work with. We even have like a college and some other folks that are clients that we use this for. So totally flexible and scalable. So a couple just quick key framing points before you get into the good stuff. I mean, we're talking about dissolving production bottlenecks, reducing errors, that might occur if you have a team following SOPs, because we're kind of getting rid of that whole process in a lot of ways. And what we've seen is that when we execute really high level content that really captures the brand voice of the business, and we do it fairly quickly, then you're building trust really quick. So we've actually had someone come to us just for a website, see how well we perform through this, and get that trust that turns into a long-term relationship where we take over more and more of their marketing world, right? So you can still charge what you did before, right? So people don't even expect you to be able to do this, and none of even the clients that know what we're doing don't care. They're really focused on the results. So it's not that you have to lower prices because you're doing it super fast or any of that kind of thing, right? And it gives you a lot of sales flexibility in how you offer things, how you upsell, how you downsell. It gives us a lot of flexibility because we know we've got this kind of behind the scenes. Okay, so what we're going to cover is three main things today. So there's the onboarding part, and that is, we found that the structured onboarding, which is really kind of pushed by how Duda operates, it actually forces us into a very sophisticated onboarding process. And what we found is when we do that right and nice and strategically, then we can take that data and leverage it over to Duda with site creation. We can leverage it over to the AI side for content creation. So that onboarding ends up being something that we can leverage not just to the website, but then going forward with really no edits into all kinds of different content. Let's see, just looking at my notes. Yep. The goal obviously is to touch the site as little as possible unless you're truly adding value. So instead of just changing little things, we got to change that color, it's more about let's get this executed correctly the first time and then add value if we have time or want to do that, if it's right for the situation. So no busy work. Okay, so let's pop into the onboarding and process overview. So this is kind of an intro plus the onboarding side, and we'll go into what we call kind of the DMT, which is the Duda template, and the AI side. And I am going to kind of have to move a little quick in order to get through everything for you guys. So this all started for us with the Duda Content Collection Form, which is fantastic. If you have not experienced the collection form, please, do that. And the way it works is that this form is connected, and connected is kind of a keyword today. It's like when data can go to other places than just the field it was put into. So this form allows you to connect to business text, business info, those built-in collections inside of Duda, as well as the kind of row-based collections, which are under the collections tab. So we started here, And what I found, and this kind of drove what we call the DMT, which is a dynamic master template in Duda. Once we customize this form extensively and we're getting these great website builds from the information we were putting there, we realized, oh, if we use some other template, well, now we have to start over and create the form again and create all those fields. So then we kind of married the form to our DMT and made it flexible. So now the form is always attached to the DMT. That's how it works. You can't use an account level form, and so anyway, so it has to be attached to the DMT, and then you've got the base ground for this flexibility. Now we've taken it a lot farther over time, but this is where this all started, right? And having that form kind of that drives things really forced us to have a sophisticated onboarding process, because what's the use of filling out this form and hitting go on it if you don't have all your stuff kind of organized and ready to go, right? So now the way we do this is we use Go High Level and Duda for a whole lot of what we do. So what you're seeing over here on the left, and it doesn't have to be Go High Level, I just show you what we have. Basically, this is what we had built on the Duda side and then took it to a Go High Level form, breaking it down into kind of, this is sort of the business info in a way. This is one form. This is the one that the client can handle on their own. And then for us personally, we go ahead and do these other ones in a more strategic fashion, maybe with the client on the call, asking them questions and really giving them that kind of white glove intro service. But basically there's a website content one, the images one. We've got about 10 core images that we need to be able to build a great site. And then over here, this kind of gives, if you're an SEO person, kind of an idea of how we structure things for one particular service. Now, all these forms are much bigger than you're seeing here. These are just screen grabs. But like for service one here, say if it was Airbnb cleaning for a house cleaning company, then we can put unique details about that service here, our target keywords, other relevant keywords. And then that starts to build this robust set of information, not just at the brand level here, but also at the service specific level here, that lets us really leverage things when we go. And when we ask the client, hey, what's different about how you perform this one service? We enter those unique details here as well as anything else we may want to. And it starts to give us some superpowers, which we'll see as we go. Right. So for us, those forms feed into Go High Level. If you're familiar, those are all fields inside the contact. So we can easily open and close and see all that information. Fantastic. That becomes kind of like a backup and an initial place to be able to always have that client information. And then for us, and there's different ways to do this, but the way we do it is we feed that information from Go High Level over to a Google Sheet. That's what this is right here. And each client for us is in a vertical column. The reason we change that is because it's much easier to see and make edits over here, as opposed to in a traditional row. So if you're not a developer or whatever, this is a little different, but it made life so much easier for us. And then what's cool about Google Sheets is that they can connect, their API is very open. So it can talk to Duda, it can talk to Go High Level, it can talk to AI platforms. So this becomes our central hub, where once we've got that onboarded data, we can start really, moving and grooving and shooting things wherever we want, just pulling the specific fields from here that are appropriate for whatever we're doing.
We had a question here, if I may interrupt you. And I was actually thinking about the same thing. Is this something that you can get from the Duda, inside Duda, or is it a different app? But we had an answer, but I think that this is maybe something that more of the audience are thinking about. Where do I find this?
Yeah,
where can I get it?
Go High Level is a CRM/marketing platform, and it's pretty darn popular out there in the local marketing world. It can also handle other stuff, and because it's so open, so many CRMs we play with, their API isn't as open and friendly as this one, and as well as having a lot of great features with reputation and email and social posting and all that stuff. So we found that for us, standardizing with Duda and go high level, then we've got an entire ability to run a whole marketing platform.
Yeah.
And especially where go high level's gotten to now, their tools are at a really, I would say, a nice sophisticated level, so we can get a lot done with just these 2 tools. Does that kind of answer? So this is an external tool. If someone else wanted to use, some other form tool or whatever, there's ways you can do it. I can just kind of show you how we sort of finagled this and, sort of go from there, right?
Thank you very much.
Wow, there's a big old go high level thing popped up. Okay. So once we've got our data in here, right, and this could go other ways, but for us, once it's in here, we've got a special little Duda button, and this is custom. We worked with an app script guy to do this. We've got the ability to create or update an entire site on Duda. So we hit that button, and it knows which fields here map over to Duda and sends them all over. It creates the site on the fly. So site doesn't exist. We hit that button, site exists now, and it feeds all the core kind of essentials into the platform. And then after that, we can go ahead and follow up with other content and that kind of. That's how we do it. There's a million ways to skin a cat, but that's kind of, and I love cats, by the way, but that's kind of how we do it, right? So what that does, right, and if you submitted the Duda form itself, or if you did it like, we're doing it, that information can go ahead and feed colors, button style we've already got in there, fonts, site icons. Like we actually make a little icon and send that, a fave icon in through this process. We do a default open graph image. This is business text, so we're feeding in like call to action button text, form embed codes, like all kinds of good stuff. Business text actually has a lot more capability than it appears. It looks like, oh, you just maybe put that on the about page or whatever. But the fact that these can connect to anything in Duda gives you this amazing leverage. So like, for instance, if one client doesn't want request an estimate, they want request a quote, we just change that text. It's probably small for you guys. We change that text right here in this box, and that automatically changes every button that's connected to that field across the entire site, right? And that same thing for anything. So the business text is a magical world if you go ahead and add your own custom fields and then think about what can we do with text or a URL or different things if we can leverage it and connect it to different things when we build. The same thing here with the business images collection, which is built into the Duda backend. These are all connectable as well. So if you've got any graphics or elements like a service graphic or whatever that would be nice to show up on multiple pages, might as well feed them into here with pre-connected, things going on. And when they land in there, they automatically populate the site. Right, so really these two here with custom colors, these two are the only ones that we custom colorize over in Canva really quick for a client, add them in here, boom, and away we go. And then this last one here, whoops, is the regular collections where they're row-based collections. And we attach these to FAQs, service areas, if you're familiar with local marketing. So kind of expanding the visibility of that client through into different cities. And then we also run service pages and some other things now through these collections. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but even a first row in a collection can come from the Duda form. And we've got it to the point where we automate and build these collections automatically with prompts and AI.
There's someone in the audience who would wonder if there's a chance of getting a list of all the fields that that has been used in the collection forms. I myself would say like, okay, that depends which ones you're using.
We do have a little training course that we're going to offer at the end. And I'd be open to sharing the fields possibly, like just like here's a list. I don't know, maybe the Duda folks could send that out to you guys or something. Yeah, it's a good question. And there was a lot of work behind what we've kind of standardized on there. So it's a smart question too. Right. Yeah. So just to get a kind of picture of this, right? So once we've got that data, the onboarding information, then the way our system works is we have various prompts that pull these things in like little variables, right? So you can't really see it here, but we pull in, say, the website URL and the about us or whatever it is to these various prompts, which can then go and create a press release, a Google post, a Facebook post, pages on the Duda site, the entire Duda site, right? So you're kind of hopefully getting an idea of how that works. Ours is automated, but I didn't have any automation for the longest time except for this prompt engine. And that still enabled me to do a whole site in a day. There's just more manual work running those prompts and then, kind of plugging the data into the system manually. And at a point, it's like that gets a little old. So can we, get past that even, right? So, okay, so let's pop into the Duda stuff. Dynamic master templates. This is the real hub and the magic that really makes to me, the best part of this all happen. So really quick on it, and this is just my name for it, dynamic master template. So instead of choosing various templates, you got one and you customize it for the client. In order to make it really work, that template, everything possible needs to be connected in that template. And say you even have saved sections. So maybe you've got, so for this kind of client, we want a certain gallery and we want this other kind of section. You can create those saved sections or those sections right in your design originally, connect them to all your stuff, save it, put it into the library. And then when you grab that saved section in the right situation later, it's already pre-connected to your colors, your fonts, your images, whatever you've got. Right, so those can be really helpful. Theme settings, the theme design settings are incredible. I've just loved watching how these have evolved in their power on the Duda platform. So we're talking the colors, like we kind of looked at before, the fonts, the button styles, even the new section spacings, all kinds of good stuff can be done in the theme settings, and those are all connected. So if you have, like, say, one brand highlight color like we do for any brand, when you change that color, every single color on the site that references that, buttons, text, whatever, instantly changes to that new color. All right, so this is something I always wanted with like CSS and WordPress and stuff, and never really got fully there. And Duda, because of this control, like makes it a totally cool, easy, well, relatively easy if you put in the time to connect everything, then you're good to go, right? Collections, as much connected from the biz info and the biz text and the images like we talked about. Custom collections, that's those row-based collections. And there are two key ones, which we'll talk a little bit more about, but know that there's regular page dynamic collections where you have flexibility with the design. And then there's true dynamic pages or templates that can be fed by those collections. And those, when you change something, it changes on all those pages, except for the unique elements coming from that collection. So really good for service areas if you're a local person on the dynamic side. Regular, probably better for like service pages because you've got more flexibility to do unique things on the different pages. And then we'll talk a little bit about AI in Duda, which we definitely leverage, and then also with the external platforms. Okay, so these are all off of our editor 1. We're now on editor 2, but these are all from our editor 1 DMT. Just to give you an idea that, darker backgrounds, lighter backgrounds. Over here, my friend who's a PhD shaman, having like YSs and review badges wasn't a real fit for her business, so we just delete them. It's so easy to take them out and even change the header on this site, but changing the header is a tiny thing that happens globally. Who cares? And then we're able to really customize the look and feel for different businesses, right? And this, for us, we enter these colors into the the form that feeds into Duda. So these colors come in when we hit go. So it's always kind of fun when you hit go and then go see, then you dive into Duda and go open the site, like, oh wow, okay, that color needs a little tweak or whatever, but I mean, your logo's in there, all the colors, it feels like a nicely developed site the first time you go in. It's like a couple minutes after you hit go. And the same type of thing can happen if you just use the Duda in built-in form. You're just going to possibly be taking those copying, pasting into those fields as opposed to just having it happen automatically. All right. Okay, so a little bit of a walkthrough. one of the key things here, we kept running into things like, oh man, we went live with that site and no one got into the tablet version on the header, graphic or whatever. And there's, oh, we forgot the logo's the wrong logo or whatever it is, right? So we actually go through in our DMT, optimize for mobile, optimize for tablet, optimize for laptop, get everything connected and working with colors and everything how we want it before we even send the data to that site. So we know it's already basically ready to go. Even if we have a saved section, that's already optimized for mobile or whatever. So you might have little changes or tweaks, but this speeds things up drastically. And with our clients, we put enough time into this that when we go live, I'm imagining the question is like, well, what if people want to tweak things? If you do a good job of this, we'd get very, very few edits. It's usually more of like, hey, can we tweak this text a little bit, add some more images? Oh, we got a new picture of our, store, whatever it is. Those kinds of things, the lightweight stuff is usually what we run into with this, because they understand that there's already been a lot of work here and it's working well, right? And we can back it up with our experience. So that really helps save a lot of time as well. We kind of covered this, but I mean, all this is, if you're not familiar, the theme stuff, these are all kind of dialed in, and if I change this one, the H1, every H1 across the site changes to a different font. It'll still have this color situation. If I change this color, boom, that color will change everywhere on the site. If I change in these other colors, it changes everywhere on the site. So we've kind of got it boiled down to what, always actually produces a really nice design, and kind of balancing that one brand highlight color. You could do more, but we found that using one kind of keeps the design not too overdone, I guess, and easier on the eye. So this strategy, color-wise, works good for us, like if you're a designer. Right? And again, just once you see that little red box around there that like if you're connecting a color from the themes to something on the site, you get that little red box and it stays, then you're good. Once in a while, it's a little, jumps around a little bit, but once you got that red box, you're good. Now your template's ready to go, and the next one will be able to take advantage of your settings.
We had a question here from several from the audience, but that AG Oberland actually answered. But if you guys didn't see his answers, so I'll just ask it again. Do you connect the templates once, or do you have to reconnect it every time? How does that happen?
That's the magic. You connect it one time. And so you're basically building a website that is going to be kind of an open framework, one time, connect everything. And then if you feed it with a Duda form, or if you feed it, externally over an API or whatever, that all works every time you call that template, or, use that template in your process. So once you're connected, you are done. Now, once in a while, Duda or data or whatever, little things happen, but I mean, 99% of your work happens perfectly every time after.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And here's another little one, like just connecting an image. So for us, our template looks like this with little placeholder images. And, but once we feed the image into that slot in the, the image collection, then it automatically populates. Boom, 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 right? So when you're building these, there's one little extra step of connecting things to what you want to connect to. Once you've got that, you're golden. Right, so for us, just to kind of give you an idea, here's the service, right? So we're pulling the actual optimized, like we went and looked at the keywords. Okay, this is the best keyword for us, for this particular service, say. So we pull that, like this is the homepage feature. This is just an example of how it works. So it's pulling from business text, boom, put the service name, pulling from the short description, which comes in, boom, right there, pulling from the image on the image side of things, service one. So we keep everything called, service one or whatever, so it can work with any client, and pulling the image in, right? So of course we do these by hand because nothing's going to know what the right icon is. But we get a lot of work done quickly this way. And this is just biz text, right? And biz images. Same thing here. Same exact image. We've figured out that 1320 by 890 works good for both hero images and like features on a homepage. So we've kind of standardized there. And then if we really want to make something special, we can just disconnect. Like say we really got a special image here and we don't want this one. You just disconnect it, it goes away, and you put in some custom image. But as an initial foundation, we feed everything in so it's a complete site out the box. All right, and this is a little section from a service area page where we highlight that particular service. Same image getting pulled in there with a long description, same poll here. So we're leveraging the data in all kinds of places in Duda. Biz info, I mean, hopefully you guys have used this, but there's really thinking about how the heck you can leverage these things like the logo, the business name, the address, and the social links down there can be connected to a lot of things. And I'll show you that in a minute. So there's a lot you can do here. Maybe if you kind of rethink about, hey, where can we connect things? So you're just always, how can I connect? How can I connect, right? Here's biz text again, like showing you, like for us, like say a form embed, because we use Go High Level, we use their forms. So all the leads flow into the CRM platform. We can follow up and stuff, but they give you a URL for a form. So we figured out that you can connect that form URL to an HTML widget in Duda. And then we put that HTML widget all over the site. So now all we have to do is plop the URL for their form in. And if we ever change that form and Go High Level, it instantly updates everywhere across the site. So if anybody's ever had not that there's anything wrong with Duda forms, but if you change it, like, oh gosh, we got to change this a lot of places, this gets you out of that spot, real quick. And this is a good little gangster tip. So we have a Find Us on Maps, and we actually can connect right here to the actual social link in business info to the Google Business Profile. So we have this pre-connected. So as long as we get the Google GBP link into the business info, this button is already connected wherever it is across the site. Right? So every little spot you can leverage, you're leveraging. All right, here's an example of the form embed. All right, so you get an HTML code, you put in, or an HTML widget, you put your whole form embed in there, and then you just change the URL by connecting that to business text, and then you've got your form. And that took a minute to figure out, but it's actually easy once you do it. Okay, so dynamic and regular collections. These are your two main ones. So we feed a lot of FAQs, we use a lot of FAQs, and we find that those show up in AI search results a lot, as well as helping the page be nice and optimized for SEO. But if you use the reveals in Duda, they have local or FAQ schema built in, and then they kind of tighten up the content on the page. It's not that old school wall of content that you get in the SEO world. And they can come down, the users can come down there and click on those, and they also can get pulled into AI results and help expand your content on a page. But down here for us, service areas, which are very formulaic pages, we keep that as dynamic, and we feed rows in, and each row becomes a new page automatically. Boom, 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 boom. So as you feed rows, your pages grow. And then relatively recently, they added the regular dynamic capability, is what you're seeing here. When you turn a collection to regular page, then you select that page's URL, connect your stuff, and then it'll feed it. So those pages can have totally different layouts if you want it, as long as they have these same elements, and it will pull them in. So really flexible with the regular pages. So yeah, we kind of talked about this already. So adding, custom designed sections, boom, add a new section, grab something from you can have a folder of your stuff in the saved sections, and those are pre-connected. So then you can just pull it out and add it to your site, right? So really, really quick and easy there. Okay, the cool AI, I'm trying to kind of move sort of quickly and get you guys hopefully enough to get an idea on how to do this, but also not take too darn long. How are we doing? Pretty good. Okay, cool. So AI content on demand. Here we go. So we've created what we call our prompt engine. And you've got a little glimpse of that already. And here's how ours lays out. A bunch of ways to do this. I used to do this in Google Docs. Each client had their own Google Doc, and it got messy quick trying to make custom prompts and everything for them, especially when you're trying to match the output to the design elements on the page, right? I need a little blurb here and a little blurb there. Well, why am I doing this for each client in a totally unique fashion? So in Google Docs, I figured out there's little variables you can use in there. Started leveraging those where I could put in this same kind of information and then it populate all the prompts. And then that got old because if I changed something, I had to change it for every client. So then we realized, oh, why don't we make individual prompts that can be run for every client? Right? So now what we've got is this kind of little library of prompts that all sync up to the different content that we create for clients. And each one of these prompts looks a little bit like this. And these all pull in those variable pieces of data that got onboarded originally, help us structure really complex, neat prompts really quickly, and then be able to feed that, where they need to go. All right. So this is a cool little tool. This over time, we've expanded into automatically connecting to AI and different things and allowing us to do, a lot of automations and stuff. But essentially, this just started out by doing onesie twosie stuff and running out of time. Right. So again, I think we've kind of seen this before, but kind of pulling from that initial sheet into our prompt engine. And then one of the key aspects of this is structuring. So this is how we structure. So this output or this input probably doesn't need to change ever. Maybe, you can, it's not hard to edit. And when you edit it, it's for everybody. But then this output, so this is a part of the same prompt. This is how we structure the output to match the actual design elements on the page. This is like for a home page. So we're asking for the right number of characters, the right amount of structure to it. And when it outputs it, we JSON rip them out of there now. But like if you're just doing it manually, the prompt will give you, oh, here's your YS, here's your YS, here's your about, here's your call to action. And then you can just copy and paste those over. And then if you want to change your thing, I don't do YSs. You just delete them, put what you have, ask it for what you've got on your page, and you don't have to change anything over on this side. And you can completely change the structure of what that output content is. Okay. Hopefully that helps. And if you're kind of an SEO person, this is kind of how we structure sort of the SEO side of things. Each service is optimized around a main keyword. Then we've got specific unique details. Then the target keywords, maybe there's 2 or 3 others that are beyond this one, maybe not. And then those other relevant keywords that can help the AI create a more robust page that's still really natural to read, right? And then same with that structured output you saw for the page, we also ask it to give us all the SEO elements. They're not always perfect. Maybe you got to tweak them, but at least you're getting this stuff, created and connected in the process. And here's just a look at someone's put together, lift kits. There's all kinds of unique, if I could pop this open, whoa, shoot, I clicked like crazy. If I could pop this open, you'd see a lot of information there about their lift kits. And if the client ever, oh, hey, we don't do those anymore. We don't do that we just change it right there. Every time we run that prompt into the future, it's updated with that information. So it really helps us look like we have our stuff together with the client because they're not getting any weird, stuff in their content. Right.
I have a question here from Haas, who is a bit confused about which part of the Google Sheets, where do you connect it to OpenAI, or do you push data, or how do you do it?
Right. So for us, we've got it totally automated, but like say wherever you have your clients onboarded information, especially if you've got something like this, which we're going to have a little offer for as well as some training, you could make one right in Google Sheets if that's how you wanted to do it. And it's fairly simple to actually call those pieces of data with a little code like this. I mean, there's a little work to it, but you can't get around it unless you want to go pay someone who's got some SEO AI platform to do whatever they do. What I love about this is it totally gives you the flexibility, little work behind it, but you've got total flexibility and lowers your cost because you're paying for those calls straight to OpenAI or whoever you're using, as opposed to totally inflated AI costs that someone else is just running them through one of those platforms. So
I think people will be happy when you actually have that training that you were talking about. I think that we need it.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to make that as affordable as possible for folks. So if you're going to do it manually, right, and you do have like what we have is a light prompt engine, which I can easily, deploy to folks, then you would, get your client data, use this to create a prompt. Here's an example of a prompt. If you're doing this manually for now, then you run that prompt into ChatGPT or whatever you like, get the output, and it's all structured, nicely. And then basically it's just a copy paste into the website. So this is how I used to do it. And this was a revolution in itself. But having this little solution right here so you can create those prompts kind of at scale quickly is really that centerpiece that really changed things for us. And all of a sudden we went from, God, this is a real grind to, wow, we can really move.
Cool.
And then like for the way we've got, we added on to this system the ability to, click a button and say, create service area content. So every service area we've got listed will get a page. Same thing here for service content. Every service that we've got listed in our sheet is going to get a page. Google posts, blog posts, we've got all those built into our kind of whiz bang system. That's got there's a lot more to that. Like just having the prompt engine over here is very, very helpful. This just gets into like, I can create a whole site and, once it's onboarded in like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if we're not going to do anything after that. Okay, so Duda, inside Duda. All right, so if you are just wanting to do some stuff inside Duda, they've got this cool little button down there in the left-hand corner for the AI tools. And right here, update your AI business profile. I know a lot of people don't take the time to do this well, but this is a really good thing to have built into even the websites you might be making like this, because then alt tags, custom sections, anything you may even have it right, that's a new little piece, is going to have much more business information to go off of than when you kind of punt and just throw a little stuff in there. So once we kind of saw that, and that over here in the right, they actually allow you 5,000 characters of custom business information over, and this is inside Duda, right? So wow, that's pretty cool. So we created a little prompt that generates, exact one-to-one, output that matches these fields. And then we take that and paste that in. And then any stuff we do with AI inside of Duda is totally dialed to that business, even, the why we're different. I mean, we're talking strategy stuff. What do we stand against? What are we dedicated to? So we're pulling in a lot of high-level strategic information to give it the best shot at doing a good job when it, goes to do something automatically. Right. So not only creating content, also helping, feed the Duda platform. So like if you're going to do an AI generated section, the way we do this is, you would fill in a little, because you've got your AI business profile filled out already, you can just kind of describe a section. And when you go into one of your existing sites that's got all the theme elements dialed in, it generated this one for me automatically and created those images and, put the text in and everything. And it even matched the background color of the site and, that kind of thing. So I really like the little AI generated sections as opposed to like a whole page or site, which to me gets, you kind of get yourself into trouble, because if you're trying to do this, because not everything's going to be connected. And it does a pretty good job. I'm not saying it's bad at it, but you're going to get into little problem areas where if you've got that DMT fully connected, then you've got, kind of total control. And what I mean by problem area is just, it's going to take you longer to edit it. So yeah, you got the site kind of built quick, but now if there's little tweaks and changes, you're going page after page trying to find all those buttons and stuff, right? Okay, so we're doing pretty good here. So this is inside of Duda. They've got the new SEO overview, which is really great. And so you get a nice view of everything that's going on. You can use especially once you've got your profile built up, you can use this to generate meta tags. Now we feed these in, but sometimes I don't like them, or there's pages we brought over from WordPress or somewhere else, so we don't have meta tags. So this can really help you generate a lot quickly, and then you could just pop in there and make little edits, on the fly to get things a little more tuned into the SEO side of things. So this is just a huge time saver. And really the one we use the most is the image alt text generator. I just did this on a site with 400 images, and it went through them all and can actually see the images. I mean, this is created from the Duda AI. 2 men in an auto shop, one in an orange jacket, looking at a paper near a lifted red Jeep. I mean, that's even pretty much a keyword, right? So it's doing a really good job of kind of dialing in from the business profile and actually seeing the images. So it does a fantastic job. And then if you want to tweak things, okay, that's an important one. Let's really pay some extra attention to service 1, service 2, that kind of thing. But now your whole site is, has alt tags, which, I mean, how often does that happen, right? Where you've got all those filled out. So it's fantastic. Yeah. And then, so basically what the kind of the results from this is that you've got service pages, you've got services. This is kind of a customized one over here a little bit, but easy to do that. We can create press releases by that same strategy you just saw. We ask it for the output to be this way and tweak the prompt a little bit so we can create press releases really quick. Google posts, blog posts. We'll usually kind of cross post over the Facebook. I wouldn't just feed Facebook a bunch of total AI stuff, but you can do some cross posting, get your RSS feed from your blogs going over there, and at least get a nice foundational level of activity going on from what you're already doing with these tools. So how we help agencies, really quick before we get into a little panel discussion. So basically you just need to know freeagencyacademy.com. It's been up for like 2 minutes, but what we put together is a little training and tools program for a little one-time fee. Then after that, it's totally you, where we'll show you basically how to build a DMT. We give you the light version of the prompt collector or connector engine that we just showed you, so you can get your client data in there and be able to leverage prompts from there and change it all you want. It's totally flexible like that. It doesn't have all the API connections and stuff, but it really helps you create, scalable content. And then we'll do a little bit of local SEO mastery training. I'm not a major, SEO super geek, but we do really well with it. We've got folks ranking #1 all over the place, and we'll show you how we use this system to create press releases and optimize the site and stuff. And it's very efficient, so that's great. And then during the duration of the course, we'll have weekly support calls if you got questions, and of course we'll figure out a way to answer questions if you're in a different time zone or something like that. And then the big whopper, this is a lot of custom development. So even though this is a little expensive to maybe some of you, what it can do in a really high functioning kind of scaled out agency is absolutely, it's going to pay for itself 100 times over pretty darn quickly. But basically we would walk through, you get the training as well, but then me and my developer, just the 2 of us, are going to help you build your DMT to match your situation, and then connect everything for you to your Duda account, your API keys, all that stuff, and leverage all of our automations in your way into your business. So this is a kind of like building a pretty involved website that actually helps you build websites, right? So there's a lot to this. So if you're interested in this, we're just saying, do a call. We'll give you a demo of the actual thing functioning and kind of make sure its feasibility matches, what you actually need. And if so, great. If not, no harm, no foul. And we also have a little bonus here of we've got a process for Google Workspace if you use it, and that's a really kind of an important piece of this, where you can start a little form, Google form, fill it out, put the client in there, and it creates all your templates, folders, files in a projects folder inside of Google Workspace, which if you've ever had to do that 1,000 times, it kind of sucks. So we've got that. We've been using that for years. So we'd share that with you so you can get your client, set up, ready to onboard, then do the onboarding stuff. And especially if you use high level Google Workspace and Duda, it's kind of, I would say kind of a no brainer, but hey, that's up to you. And I guess that's it for my presentation. Let's do some questions and get Josh and Jeremiah involved. Because what's cool about what they've done is I did a very loose kind of initial introduction to this and some trainings with them. And then but no offer, just a few free classes just to see how it went. And they've both taken it and kind of implemented it in their business in different ways. So, and I think that's super cool. So I don't know, maybe Josh, talk about how you use the MCP a little bit to get some of this done. I think some folks who would like to know how some of that.
Yeah. So, like I said at the beginning of this webinar, I got back into agency game roughly a year and a half or so ago. So, I was starting out pretty small. I think I connected with Justin about 8 months ago. Had a handful of clients and just wasn't ready to automate everything. It didn't make sense for me. I wasn't doing that much business. So, but I was spending far too much time building websites. So I connected with him, and the concepts really, I was like, okay, these are great concepts that I can apply to save time for me right now. From the DMT, using the business text fields, the internal collections, being able to connect all of that into one template and create completely different sites just by the information you feed into it. I wasn't doing that. I was creating every site by hand, page by page. So that was the first thing I fixed right off the bat. I already had an onboarding process. I was gathering most of the information that I needed. So I connected my onboarding forms to Justin's light template or his light prompt generator so that I could feed my client's data in there, use it to generate the prompts, and then copy those over into, I was using ChatGPT at the time to start creating that reusable content. I've since moved over to Claude because of the Duda MCP. So the Duda MCP is pretty fantastic. When I was creating a site, I was copying and pasting data, sitting there for 2 hours, copying and pasting stuff over into the connected fields in Duda, and it just becomes mind-numbingly like, did I even copy it and paste it into the right spot? Because I've done so many in a row. So what the Duda MCP allows me to do at this point is I can tell the Claude, hey, go look at this site inside of Duda, identify all of the business text fields, all internal collections and the fields associated with it. It does that. Then I put in a prompt from Justin's prompt generator and tell it, hey, create content for this, and then go place it in the correct field inside Duda. And so instead of me having to copy and paste individual things over and over and over into Duda, now Claude does it all. It creates the content, the MCP puts it inside Duda for me. So even the concepts that were taking me, 2 hours in to do are now taking me 20 minutes. So the MCP has really been the second half of this for me to save me a bunch of time. But it all started with these concepts that Justin had about having reusable assets that you can literally use for any business in any niche to do any type of site design that you want to do. So really take the blinders off of what you think creating a site is and dig in deep to these concepts and these tools that Justin's using, and it'll make you more efficient than you ever thought you could be. It's pretty wild.
I throw this in there on the MCP, and there's no definitive answer here because this world is moving so fast, and it's definitely going to improve. Like in my experience of playing with it a little bit, the MCP can do a good job. You got to be a little, geeky and get in there and, kind of work through it and kind of understand what it is and deal with it. The way we've done it with the API is very specific and consistent, where the MCP might, get a little wonky on you here and there. So it really just kind of, shoestring budget. You're a little geeky, go with the MCP, and do it that way. If you really want, like, boom, this is how we want things, so it's just, if you're not kind of developer head, it's, kind of the specificity and a little bit loose, but affordable and really cool.
Yeah. With the MCP, I have had to do, a fair amount of training on each project so that they understand the client. have to have really tight directions for it. So there is a lot of extra work there, but it is far more effective than copying and pasting, and not nearly as effective as automating it all the way through Justin's system. So it's kind of that middle ground.
Yep.
So cool. We have a few questions here from the audience, but I also want to hear, Jeremiah, you have also worked through Justin's process, and how has it worked for you?
Yeah, similar to Josh, it's definitely, I kind of broke things for a little bit because I was just like, okay, I had to kind of rethink everything that I'm doing. And I think probably the biggest thing is now it lets me spend a little bit more time on strategy. And so I get to spend a little bit more time kind of digging into the SEO strategy, looking at the competitors, figuring out where we need to move the ball, and spending less time on the design because I'm not a designer. I'm like, I lead with SEO, and then like the design is like not my strong suit.
I hear you.
And so having this makes it so much easier because I don't have to worry so much about the design every time because I've already got a template that looks good across everything and is easy to customize. And being able to take something for one business and make it for another that has a totally different vibe, very quickly, makes things really easy. And the MCP connection was definitely a lifesaver for me as well. I mean, I think one of the cool things with the MCP server is that you can ask it, hey, look at this site and let me know if I need to change anything on it. Because if you have a template, maybe you forgot to update some placeholder text. And so the MCP will run through everything and be like, oh, this is a placeholder text that needs to be updated. Do you want me to update that? It's like, yes, thank you. Because I would have never dug through all the menus to find that one thing that needs to be changed. But like Justin said, you definitely have to be a little bit more surgical in your approach because the AIs like to get a little bit overzealous sometimes. And sometimes you have to rein it back in versus kind of being more precise. And there's definitely times where, I'll use the MCP for certain things, and the other things I'm like, I want a little bit more control over this situation. So I'm going to go in and copy paste and format it myself. But it's definitely made things much easier, creating the website for clients really quickly. If anything, the hardest part is getting images from clients like it always is. So
I will say with the MCP, I'm still, probably once a week, I do have to ask Claude, are you messing with me on purpose? So,
so there's a question actually, do you have to use Claude or any other things, or is Duda MCP also available for ChatGPT?
Claude was the first one, so it's probably at the moment the most sophisticated, but ChatGPT didn't have it at first, and then now it's working better. I haven't totally dove into them, so it's one of those things. It's a moving target. Try it in 2 weeks, and ChatGPT may just be fine. I know these two guys because they were a little ahead of the game right when the MCP came out. I was like, Josh, have you played with it yet? And he was like, I haven't had a chance. And he dove in and did it. And so Claude was the only option at that point. So I think a few people who are early to that game kind of standardized around Claude for that.
Cool. I have a question from Sean O'Hara as well. Is this working as well for e-commerce sites? Have you tried that?
Yeah, there's no reason why it can't work great for e-commerce. And honestly, with all the content that you need, like product descriptions, and if you want, more content on a page, which is always tough with e-commerce. We haven't plugged it in, but the same exact theories completely work. Instead of service areas or whatever services, you've got products, and you can do the same type of thing to feed unique product descriptions and that kind of thing. Again, it just feeds back to what's your strategy. How do you onboard? And you'll have a bigger list of services because they're actually products, right? So I don't know if you got 1,000 or whatever. So yes, totally doable. Might be some tweaks that I'm thinking of if you wanted a mass list of products. But it's
I haven't done the API stuff, obviously, but I have built an e-commerce site, kind of on a small to medium size range with these concepts and the light version of the tools. So it does work. The concepts are pretty universal. It can be done from the API standpoint. I can't speak to that. I don't use it. So Justin, that would be his space, and I'm sure just from a technical aspect, it's plenty capable. So,
yeah, I actually haven't. We don't do a whole lot of e-commerce stuff, and I don't know how that works with collections, or how you can feed data into the e-commerce side. So that'd be my only question: like, what can it receive, either in the Duda built-in or the the old school or whatever, the other option in there.
That would be interesting to learn about or to know and dig into. Yeah, that's the area where I work.
I don't know if we answered this one too. I see behind the scene execs asked if you need to have high level.
Nope.
Justin, go ahead.
No, we just said that you could also do the copy and paste or do it yourself inside the Duda forms.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, like, say you had just some form tool, whatever it is, you can use any form tool. The question is, you want one that's got pretty good API ability, so then you can take that data and put it in the places that you might want it to go. I mean, potentially you can go straight from a form, to a Duda site, but if you're wanting to collect that data and be able to leverage it for other things, then you're going to want to be able to put it into a Google Sheet or something else that's leverageable, and it'll be there for you to do further things.
I could give you a lot of reasons to use high level, but no, I don't think that it's necessary. But if I said, if you were asking, should I would say absolutely, you should, and there's a lot of reasons for it.
And don't let it overwhelm you. First, so many people get in there and they think they need to learn every little thing. It's like, if you're doing local reputation management, email marketing, social posting, CRM a little bit, where the forms go into, and then if you're going to do something like this, getting the data to talk, which actually they have a little workflow, and you say, okay, I'm going to map this data over here, and a little bit of finagling, and it's if you're not a dev, it's kind of geeky, but it's really not that difficult to get it out of go high level or high level over to Google Sheets or wherever. You want some help if you're not a developer, but it's not.
I really liked one thing that you said in the beginning, that it's not about the time you put in to build a page or a website, it's the value it gives. And this generally speaks to me as an agency owner, that yes, exactly that. It's the value you give, not the amount of hours you actually put into it. If it's good, if it's great, doesn't matter how fast or slow you did it. You could do really crappy things really slow.
People that are serious about their business don't care. They care about the result, not the process.
Exactly. And
we have better engagements with our clients now than we ever have. And, quite a few of them know we do AI stuff. Some of them don't care, never, it's the ones that, we talk to more, and they just get excited about it. Oh, awesome. Then we can do this and that. And nobody's like, can we lower the cost or any of that stuff? They're just happy to know we're kind of on that cutting edge and being able to give them, better value, faster, all that kind of stuff. So works good.
So does anyone have any final thing to say, or like a comment about this, or some questions from the audience? We're a bit over time, so I'm trying to rounding up, but we also it's fine. I think this was a super interesting topic, so for me it was worth standing or being here for a bit longer.
Good. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to close with?
Well, I'll just say that as far as like results side of things, like we launched a painting business on using the master template and this whole system. And I mean, Google crawled the website within less than 24 hours, and we were ranking on page 1 within 24 hours, which I thought was crazy. And I mean, within 30 to 60 days, we're already climbing a lot of the top 3 positions with this system. So, the results are definitely there. And the fact that now we can just kind of like tweak things here and there, but we've already got, great results from the get-go really quickly, makes so that then the clients are even happier. So not only do they get a website really quickly, but then they're also getting results quickly also. Yeah. Also, SEO results not guaranteed. We're not Google, all that sort of stuff.
Josh, do you have anything?
I would just say, guys, really visit the landing page that Justin set up. Get into this training. It'll change the way you're doing stuff for the better. Especially at that light version, guys. At $397, you're going to get way more than $400 worth of value out of it. You're going to make your money back building one site. I mean, just the time that you'll save. You'll make your money on one site the time that you save. So get in that training. It's good stuff. It completely revolutionized the way that I do stuff. And I'll speak to it for days. So it's good stuff.
Thanks, Josh. And yeah, and we're going to do those classes kind of live. I mean, if you can't go, you can't go, but we'll record them too. But we're going to actually do it live with folks. So if there are questions and stuff, we'll probably hold them to the end so I can record them and have them for, nice continuous stuff for folks. But if you can attend, we'll be able to answer your questions directly. And then we'll also have kind of a Q&A each week and that kind of thing. So this is going to be sort of a live organic process that, with your input may even change, may add some classes. I'm not a real selfish guy, so I really want to enable you guys. So the more I know about where you're at and what you're trying to do, the more I can kind of help you tune it in. And yeah, Jeremiah, same thing. I mean, especially if we have like a client with fairly established website, maybe junky content, not doing so great. When we do this, like instantly they are across the board in all their services and service areas and all that stuff. And I think a good chunk of that is, Duda and laying out the site right and performance, but also that unique content getting in there as opposed to just the premiere, blah, 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 makes a big difference. So there's a lot of little things we go over on how to do that. So anyways, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate folks showing up and the Duda folks and Josh and Jeremiah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you guys for all this information and everything. It was very enlightful and I really liked it. And now I'm going to go build web pages. And also, if you want to give your contacts, Sean O'Hara here wants to hire you all or give you work. But yeah, thank you very, very much. If you have questions, I think that, or further questions, I think that you're going to get the contacts for these 3 very knowledgeable guys that you can talk to and ask more about, well, the system.
Going to post the links that we gave? Are they going to get access to us? Okay, cool.
I think so. Yeah. All right. Okay. And you find me, you just Google my name and then you'll find me.
That's cool. Thank you.
Where you get me. Thank you, guys.
Duda world.
Yay. And thank you, Duda. And make sure to subscribe to the newsletters and watch these webinars. They're very, very good.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. All right, everybody.
Bye.